A typical project estimate includes both direct and indirect costs. Direct costs are costs that can be completely attributed to the production of a product. That could be a wall, a window, a column, etc. Direct costs typically include material, labor, and equipment costs. If subcontractors are hired to perform portions of the work, then subcontractors should be considered as direct costs as well. Indirect costs are usually those expenses that are used by multiple activities and can be directly assigned to a specific product. Rather, they are required to keep the project or business operation as a whole. Indirect costs include Division 1 or general requirements or general conditions. Those terms can be used interchangeably. General requirements typically support on-site construction activities, including temporary facilities such as job trailer, temporary roads, and on-site workshops, and also including on-site utilities, housekeeping, and material testing, etc. Indirect costs also include sales tax. In order to properly estimate the sales tax, you need to understand on what cost items that the sales tax need to be imposed. Sales tax always imposed on materials. Equipment costs are typically subject to sales taxes. However, depending on the state the project is located, we do not impose sales tax on labor costs. Since a subcontract includes both materials and equipment costs, the equipment and material cost portion should be subject to sales tax. Typically, we assume 50% of the subcontract costs are material and equipment costs. Of course, there are exceptions for sales tax if a project belongs to a nonprofit organization or a tax exemption entity such as government, school, and churches. Then sales tax should be exempted, and we do not need to include sales tax in the estimate. Overhead and profit are also part of the indirect cost. Overhead is usually used to pay the personnel, facilities to manage the project and the business. Profits are the reasons the company exists for. Typically, we impose approximately 10% on top of the equipment, material, and subcontract costs, and 50% on top of the bare labor cost, because the bare labor cost does not include fringe and benefits. Therefore, a higher percentage is used. However, the specific percentage can vary by case. Contingency as an indirect cost is a separate portion of money assessed to account for potential risks that could happen to a project. Most of the owner would require subcontract to acquire bonds from bonding companies to protect the owner from potential damages due to contractors' default of contracts. Construction bonds are based on a percentage of project cost, so the cost for obtaining bonds will vary from projects to projects. It will also depend on the contractor's credit score. After we figure out all the direct and indirect costs of a project, sometimes we need to adjust the estimate for location and time. This happens when we estimate our project based on the cost information from a previous project built in a different year and a different location.